hey, is your battery bank, or more specifically your boat battery bank, not living up to what you thought it to be? On this video, I'm going to go through my version of equalizing AGM batteries. Some people say you can't do it. Lifeline says you can. We're going to equalize these batteries today on Vujah Day Living. Hello once again. Endless wind, endless hurricane. Hi, thanks for tuning in to Vujah Day Living. My name is Dean, and along with my lovely wife Danielle, we sold our house in the suburbs and move onto a boat to see the world. And we make these videos in hopes that we'll inspire you to do some of those big things on your bucket list. We hope that we'll inspire you to live life different. Today, we're going to do a little bit of tech geeking out. We've been having some problems with the batteries on Vujah Day, and I'm trying to fix it. Basically, the problem is we don't have as much power as we used to. The batteries don't last as long, and we like to make coffee in the morning and use our inverter. And I'll show you what our inverter looks like a little bit later. And I think the problem might be that the batteries have gone through a sulfation phase, or sulfication. They got sulfur on their lead acid plates, and so, or their lead plates and their lead acid batteries, their AGM batteries, which are actually lead acid batteries. And so what we're going to do is a process called equalization today. So let's get into it. Sitting in front of our battery bank right now, there's 3 AGM batteries. They're Lifeline AGM batteries, and if you don't know what AGM is, I'm not going to go into that technology. I'm assuming that you're probably geeking out on batteries already, so you know what an AGM battery is, and you might be thinking, well, you can't equalize AGM batteries. According to Lifeline, they think it's very important that you do so, and some of the symptoms that our batteries have would indicate that we do need to equalize batteries. So basically, I'm not going to go into the technology of, or the process, the chemical, whatever you're going to call it, the physics of equalization, or the physics of the batteries. Basically what happens is sulfur builds up on the lead plates inside the batteries, and if the sulfur isn't too hard and we haven't wrecked the batteries too badly, what we can do is hit the batteries with a high charge, a 15 plus volt charge, which will then soften up and dissolve that sulfur off of the batteries and put it back into the chemical mixture that allows the battery to absorb a charge. That's my dumb man's version of what's going on right now, mostly because I'm not a battery chemist or engineer. But I did talk to some people who are on the beach yesterday, and I'm very excited about this. Not just because we're going to equalize, but because we're going to do it with the solar array that we installed last year. And if you're interested in the solar array and when we put in, leave a comment below, because I'll do a video about that. I'll do another geek out type thing on our solar array. So anyway, I'm going to show you what's happening right now. I've already started our bulk charging, well, our battery charging stage, because in the first part of equalizing is to make sure that your batteries are fully topped off with the charge. And so I'm doing that with the generator that we have. Okay, so here's what's happening. That's our battery bank right there. You can see there's 3 Lifeline batteries. And up here, you can see right now we are at 14.4 volts. This is our absorption charge of the charging stage. There's 3 stages of charging. You probably know that because you checked in here to see, hey, why aren't my batteries working? So this is our battery charger and inverter right down there, and the little blinking light. That means that we are indeed in absorption charge, and we have 14.4 volts. I'm going to show you that again going into the batteries. A fully charged battery is when you have this 14.4 volts, but this is a Victron BM700, by the way, battery monitor. It's almost imperative that you have one. I just changed this to measuring the amount of amperage, or the amount of current that's going into the batteries. A fully charged battery will, at 14.4 volts, be at a certain percentage of your amp hour battery, or your amp hour rating on your battery. What we're looking for is 3 amps here at 14 volts. We have a long way to go, but that's a fully charged battery. So we're going to get the batteries to that point, and then we're going to hit them with 15.5 volts for a couple of hours to see if we can melt off some of that sulfur on the plates. While we're waiting for the batteries to charge, I thought it'd be a good idea to go over the equipment that we're using. I thought maybe you'd be interested in that, and also reiterate what I was talking about with the fully charged batteries, because I think this is an important concept of where we may be having issues with our batteries, and you may be having issues with your batteries there as well. And so let me preface, I am not an expert in this at all. I'm just giving you my experience of what's happening out here and the research that I've done. So, you know, take that for what it's worth, and take this, this is worth about as much as you're paying for it. Okay, so fully charged battery. What I was trying to say before is a fully charged battery is when a battery gets to the point where it is at 14.4 to 14.6, whatever your charging voltage is for a lead acid battery, or a well, for a lead acid battery, AGMs are lead acid batteries. Gel batteries are a little different, I guess. Lithium are completely different. I'm speaking again just from my perspective, from what I know. For our bank to be fully charged, according to Lifeline, it needs to be at 0.5% of that 630 amp hours, which would mean, I'm just going to use round numbers, that's 3 amp current draw at, according to Lifeline, 14.4, around 14.4 is where they want the batteries to be charged. And I think this is where we're having our issues, because I've set everything up to be at 14.4, and I think when they're talking about those parameters for charging, that 14.4 might be a little bit light. I think we might need to go to 14.6 and give us a little bit more voltage. And the reason I say that is why we're sitting here right now. Because what happens is that if you don't have enough voltage to get the batteries to that completely charged state from your solar array, which is what we've been charging the batteries on for the most part all the time, that sulfur builds up on those plates, and that's what equalization is for. And our goal is to have them charged all the time. A happy AGM battery, again, I'm talking about AGM, and this is lead acid, it's the same principle apparently. A happy battery is fully charged all the time. And so that's what we're working for. So I may need to reset some of our equipment, our big charger and the solar chargers. Right now, I'm making sure that we're at that current draw, so I know that they're going to be fully charged at those percentages, at least very, very close, before we go into equalization mode. Okay, so we've talked about the batteries. We've got a battery bank of 3 Lifeline AGM batteries. They say they're the best batteries out there, and they say that the reason that is so is because they can be equalized. Now, there's some discussion on whether or not AGM is the way to go, and the most expensive battery is the way to go. I don't think I'll get into that. I don't know if we'll buy Lifelines again. Maybe somebody out at Lifeline can convince me that we really need to have Lifeline batteries. I don't know that we do, but we'll see. We'll see if this works out and we can extend the life of the batteries. Remember, we bought the boat from the moorings, and it was a charter boat for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and you can go back in some of our videos and you can see that. And that the charters maybe didn't take care of the batteries so well. So if we can get these back, you know, maybe, yeah, the value of the Lifeline is there. I can't say yes, I can't say no, I don't know. But we're gonna try. Okay, so Lifeline batteries, we got 3 of them. We have 630 amp hours. I'm hoping that we can bring them back from that from their state. Right now, we only can get around 80 to 90 amp hours out of them, which actually is fine for us, except if you remember in one of our other videos, and I'll drop that link below as well, when I put the inverter in, I wanted Danielle to be able to do whatever it is that she wanted to do, i.e. we ran the hair dryer, which was kind of a fun thing to do. It's not what she does all the time, but it was a fun thing to do, and we could run that hair dryer, which is a big appliance to be running off of those batteries. We also make coffee with the Mr. Coffee maker, and it's nice to have that capacity there. Right now we can't do that because our batteries are struggling. They just can't keep up the voltage that's needed and the current that's needed for running those resistant type appliances. It's around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we started this process early this morning, around 8 o'clock. In fact, maybe before 8 o'clock we started the generator. And I just wanted to give an update here. The amperage that we have is 5.8, somewhere 5.8 to 5.9 amps at our 14.6 volts in the battery. So basically what that means is we're trying to get down to 3.15 amps or somewhere around 3, and it's taken all day for us to do this. I've turned the generator off because the sun came out a little bit. I'll show you the conditions we have out here. After we got to our voltage with the generator, this is enough sun right now to give us 14.6 volts through the solar array that we have up there. And I was hoping that this would be enough to also give us the 15 point whatever volts that we're going to need for equalization, but it's taking a long time for our batteries to get to full charge. I'm hoping that we can do this with the solar panels. We may not be able to do it with the solar panels because we don't have the length of light this time of year to do it. We may have to turn the generator back on. I made the call. We couldn't get the amperage at 14.6 volts down to the 0.5% of the battery bank capacity. I watched it go to 5.75 or thereabouts for about an hour, and it just wouldn't go any lower, and that tells me that we probably lost capacity in the batteries, which, well, we know we've lost capacity, and that's probably a good indication. So I made the call, and right now we are equalizing. Right now we're equalizing from the sun at 15.3 volts. So the Morninstar Tristar 45, it's set up to give our batteries 15.33 volts right now. So theoretically we should be melting that sulfur off those lead plates, and we should have a conditioning process going on, and hopefully the batteries will gain some capacity. We're about an hour and a half in now. It's around 4 o'clock. We started at 2:20, and one of the things that I've noticed with our batteries here is this battery is getting a little bit warm, and one of the things you're not supposed to do is let them get over 115 degrees, the batteries. I don't have the right type of temperature gauge. I used a thermometer that you put in your mouth, and it went to 110 and then stopped. Apparently you die if your temperature's over 110, so there's no reason for those to go any higher. So I'm guessing this guy's getting hotter than 115 degrees, but it's also a suspect battery, and I feel that it's bulging a little bit. I thought it might have been bad, and it's getting a little warm out. You can see I changed my shirt. And one more thing that I noticed is our amperage is going up. We started at somewhere around 7.5 amps at the 15 volts, and now it's more at well, it's at 10 amps. And I also had to cheat. We have a nice sunny day. You see this outside. We had a nice sunny day. However, the angle of the sun to the angle of our solar panels has made it so that we can't keep the 15.3 or 15.4 volts up, so I had to use the generator again because I wanted to go for at least a couple hours. I'm going to try to go for 4 hours and see how I feel about that hot battery right there. Maybe I'll split the difference and go to 3. Right now we're seeing amps going up, which I think maybe it's one of two things. It's the heat causing resistance in the battery, which we think is bad, or it's the battery capacity is going up of the other batteries. That might be a good thing. Maybe we're gaining some traction on those and they're accepting some more amperage. Don't know right now. I'm gonna let it run and then shut this one down for the day and maybe pick it up again tomorrow. And next morning we had 12.4 volts after pulling 80 amps, 89 amps out of the batteries, which isn't so great for our big bank. But we decided to go ahead and see if we can make some coffee anyway and see if the batteries were strong enough. And we're pulling down to 11 volts right now. Oh, we have the coffee maker set on cycles so that it doesn't pull constantly. So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we did some good yesterday. Of course, we had them really topped off, so I don't know. We're gonna let it sit for a couple days before we try to equalize again, and then who knows. Alright, we're back in the battery compartment now. It's a couple weeks later. During this whole time I've been trying to equalize the batteries and trying to get more capacity out of our batteries. During our equalization, this battery right here, if you look really close, there's some puckering on it, and it got really hot, which they say, I guess, means that when you're equalizing it at the high voltage, that means the battery's bad. So I took it out of line. You can see I don't have the power hooked up to this guy, so we're down to 2 batteries. And I tried to equalize with the sun for 2 and 4 hours. I equalized with the generator for 4 and 6 hours, and try to get some capacity back out of these. Maybe we got a little bit, I don't know, but I'm going to call this experiment a failure. So we needed new batteries. So what I did was I did a comparison of batteries, AGM versus flooded. That's kind of the base that I started. I would call them flooded lead acid batteries, which are the normal batteries, I guess, that have little caps on them that you would pour the water in, and they're a little bit higher maintenance. The AGMs are a little bit different. You guys probably know the difference between those, so I'm not going to go into it. So I did a comparison between those two, and I think that the flooded battery, as far as price performance goes, is probably a better deal. However, because we're in a solar system, the AGM battery seems to be able to take a little bit higher voltage, a little faster, and a little bit more abuse than those with less hands-on. And that was attractive to me, so I decided to stay with the AGM world. I also had to stick with the 4D size, because our battery compartment, if you were looking here, it's molded for 4D size. So we need a 4D AGM battery is what I came up with, and we need 3 of them. And the good base to start with was the Lifeline batteries, because it's the ones that we had. And I went online. The best price that I could find for the Lifeline AGM battery was $577 shipped, which is a lot of money, especially compared to the flooded battery. But they are supposedly the top of the line, so I did some comparisons, and I ran into a company called Vmax, and they have a battery called Vmaxtanks. And I started doing some research on the Vmaxtanks versus the Lifeline battery. And the Vmaxtanks, in a solar off-grid system, they got great reviews almost across the board. There were a couple of stragglers out there who complained about a couple of things, but for the most part, they seemed like a great battery. So then I went down to price performance, and the way that I looked at the price performance was duty cycles and recharge cycles, and they have curves. Each manufacturer has curves. Well, they will tell you the expected number of recharges that you should be able to get from a battery at certain state of discharge levels. And so I looked at the 50% level, which is the most apparently that you want to go before you really start sulfating the batteries. And in a Lifeline, the cost of the battery versus the discharge, or I'm sorry, the recharge cycle rate, it cost about 54 cents per recharge, which this to me felt like a really good way to compare batteries versus these Vmaxtanks, which was 49 cents. So that's $577 per battery versus 400 and what was it, $443 per battery. That to me was fairly compelling. It's a $400 savings on the batteries, and so I decided to go with the Vmaxtanks. I also liked that they were right out in the open at the website, which I'll leave a link below if you're interested in looking at those batteries. The website, right up front, they talk about the cycles, the duty cycles of the battery, versus in Lifeline you really got to dig down into their manual. And now another consideration that I had was Lifeline has two things that they tout. Their 5-year warranty, which is a prorated warranty. So with these batteries, they lasted about 5 years plus. Even if we could get the warranty on them, which maybe if we called Lifeline we could have talked them into it, it still would have been the same price as the Vmaxtanks batteries, with because it's prorated at 5 years. It would have been a 20% discount. And Lifeline also says that you can equalize their batteries. They call it conditioning. Well, we went through an experiment right here, and you can see that the equalization probably is not a big seller if you're going to try to get more life out of the battery after the batteries have maybe been abused. Maybe that's a better thing to do periodically, the same as a flooded battery, but it didn't seem to help in this situation. So I decided to go with the Vmaxtanks batteries. I went to their website, and it was a little bit clunky ordering the batteries. They give a discount for first-time buyer, and they give a discount for shipping. They ship for free. So that's what really brings the price down, because these things are heavy. And we're in the Bahamas, so that was a little bit clunky, and it wasn't clear that all these discounts were given once you go to check out. But I called the people at Vmaxtanks, and I really liked. I got right through to somebody right away. They helped me with the ordering, and we got the order placed. So the batteries are on a ship right now, headed towards Georgetown, Bahamas, where we're sitting right now. And that is going to be a whole other fun video, because we have to get the batteries through customs, which in the Bahamas is a little bit difficult, and then we have to get them on the boat, and we have to figure out where to anchor, because we're sitting out in the middle of a remote kind of anchorage down here. So I have to find a dock to get to, and I'm going to make a video of all that as well. So if you find that interesting, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and it'll let you know when we have that video posted. Okay, so anyway, so I called Vmaxtanks batteries, and they are the Vmax company, and they were very, very helpful. Answered all my questions. They had two different kinds of batteries. They have an MR series, which is a marine series, and an extreme series, I believe is what they called it. The extreme series, the difference is that had some more insulation in it, a heavier case, it's a little bit bigger case, and it also had the battery posts on the side versus the marine has them on the end, and my wiring setup was this way. So I mean, that was a small deal. They also had heavier plates in those batteries, so I chose the extreme batteries. And then I told them about what I was doing, and they said they'd send out some batteries for us to test. So I'm going to do a series of videos on these batteries over the coming months to see how they perform. So maybe if you're checking in a couple months from now, you might see what we did, and you might be considering their batteries. And again, I'll leave a link below so you can get all this information that I'm telling you right now in much more detail on their website, and check it out for yourself. And there you go. So we had to order new batteries. They're coming in. And this has not been fun. Maybe it's been fun for you. It's been the batteries are holding up well, so we're okay. But you know, it's been a real hassle when we're out here. I'd rather go fishing anytime. And there you go. If you have any more questions, leave a comment below. I will be happy to answer all of anything that I can, and if you maybe have some more insight into what I'm saying, I'd love to hear from you, because I'm going to have to commission these things, and it's all new to me, and I'm just bringing you along for the ride. I'm definitely not an expert. There you go. Until the next one, I hope your batteries stay charged, and we'll see you on the water.